Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, today we're going to be doing another deck profile video, and this is one that I'm actually pretty excited about. It is a Turbo Boltund V Deck profile. I know people have been playing around with a lot of different Turbo or Boltund V decks, I should say, in general. Just to name the three that I think exist sort of in the ether, there is the Boltund Rayquaza Turbo build. That was my initial list, actually. I grabbed a Japanese list and I sort of went from there, but that I didn't like it. Rayquaza doesn't really have enough acceleration. It's two prizers sitting on the bench for all that, and I don't know. I tried End's Resolve in it too. It's just End's Resolve is a bad card. I don't know what to say. It's not good. That's my opinion, but I don't feel like I'm too off base on that one. The other version, which is probably a pretty good version, is Boltund Naganadel. Obviously, Naganadel lets you get energies from the discard back onto it. So it has, I think, a little bit more sustainability long term. And you don't have as many two prizers sitting on the bench. But today's build is going to be a Turbo Boltund that's all about Zero Aura's GX attack and Electro GX, which you'll see in a second. So yeah, let me know what you think about this deck profile in the comments, but I've honestly felt pretty good about this deck. It is what I would call a like burn bright style deck, meaning, you know, you get a lot of energy, you can hit really hard, really fast, but it doesn't have a lot of staying power, right? If you are up against anything that can one hit knock you out and you go more than 4 or 5 turns, you're probably losing, just because that's the nature of this deck. You're going to deck yourself out, or and honestly, I don't know how this deck does against one prizers. Certain one prizers it might struggle with, but regardless, it's a really interesting idea, and it just depends on if the meta is full of really big Pokemon that you want to body really quickly. So yeah, let's just jump into the deck profile. All right, so the first thing we're going to start with is obviously our Boltund Vs. Now I have 3 Boltund Vs in this deck profile, just 3. I feel like 3 is fine. You could go with 4 if you really want. It's fine. I mean, you just find some space here and there. Throw a 4th in. I never felt the need for a 4th. I usually are only attacking with 2 during the whole game. But you could run with 4. It's kind of up to you. The second Pokemon that we got, Boltund, just so you know the attacks. First attack allows you to attach, for 1 lightning, allows you to attach 2 lightning from your deck to your benched Pokemon in any way that you like. Its second attack, so you know, its second attack is the one that matters most. Its second attack does 30 times the amount of lightning energy attached to all of your Pokemon in play, including this one. So, and it does 10 plus 30 times. So think about 9. If you get 9 lightning energy in play, which seems like a lot, but then you're doing 270 plus 10, 280. 9 lightning energy knocks out an ADP. I think that is a huge selling point of this deck because ADP is slow. This is super turbo. And I can tell you from a lot of testing, this can get 9 energy on to knock an ADP out before an ADP is able to Ultimate Ray. That is not uncommon. So that's, I think, a big selling point of this. 9 energy, and obviously it just keeps scaling from there. If you can get more energy on, you could knock out a VMAX. You have Electro powers to help you with that as well. So huge upsides to this card in this deck. So we have 3 of those. And then we have 2 of the Zero Aura GX for a couple of reasons, right? Zero Aura has obviously its ability, a little bit right there, but you know what that card is. It has its ability, which gives any Pokemon no retreat cost, not free retreat, no retreat cost. So things like Melodic or Tangrowth, etc., they got nothing. They got nothing. As long as that Pokemon has a lightning energy attached, they have no retreat cost. Additionally, its GX attack, let me lean down and grab that. Its GX attack, Full Voltage GX, is really the star of this deck. Full Voltage GX allows you for 1 lightning energy to attach 5 basic lightning energy from your discard to your Pokemon in any way that you like. So the goal of this, and the goal of this deck, is to go second, in my opinion, to go second, to get 5 plus, maybe more, lightning energy into the discard, and then to use full voltage GX going second on your first turn. That way, on the end of your first turn, you have a minimum of 6 energy on the board. And honestly, that's the 5 you accelerate plus the 1 for this. And honestly, I have had turns where I can also Tapu Koko Prism Star, get 2 more. So by the end of my first turn, I have 8 lightning energy on the board, which means turn 2, 1 attachment, 9 lightning energy on the board. You can see like how this very quickly goes from no energy to 9 energy to knock out an ADP by turn 2. So that is the objective. Obviously, if you don't get the full voltage GX out, I wouldn't use full voltage for less than 4 energy. That's my opinion. I just think don't bother, right? Like just use Boltund's first attack to accelerate. You play a little slow. But honestly, like that's your ideal first attacker. Then outside of the 2 Zero Aura, and we have 2 in there just so obviously we can find them. And if one gets knocked out, you have one for later. We have 2 Dedenne. You could run with 3 Dedenne. It's fine. I found 2 to be fine. You're going through this deck quickly. And I also have other cards in the deck that make having 2 Dedenne also fine. If you prized both of your Dedenne, that's real bad. You're having a really bad time. It might happen, but 2 Dedenne I think is plenty. Now this next card, I have one line of Voltorb and Electra GX. Now, what this Electra GX does, its ability, extra energy bomb, it says you may attach up to 5 lightning energy from your discard pile to your non-GX or EX Pokemon. So a V Pokemon is good to go in any way that you like. Now, when you do that, this gets blown up. It gives up 2 prizes. That is unavoidable. I only have a 1/1 line in here because I don't think that that is the main way you should be accelerating energy. This is a backup. This is I need a little bit more energy and I can pull it off. This is, I don't have any Zero Auras. I wasn't able to get them off and I need this or else I just auto lose. This is a backup energy acceleration. You might have situations where you get Zero Aura and this in a game and it's fine. This helps you stretch to get those VMAXs late game or mid game. So that's really what that is for. You might also have games you never use it. That's fine. But that's what that is for. That's why I think a 1/1 line is really all that you need. Now, we obviously have Tapu Koko Prism Star. Got one of those, which is all you can have. I also have 1 Raichu and Raichu Tag Team GX. The reason I have this is mostly for its first attack, Tandem Shock. Now, Tandem Shock, if it is on the bench and then it comes into the active position, it does 80 more damage, so that's 160, and your opponent's Pokemon is paralyzed. Now, that is critical, I think, in this matchup because you might have a VMAX at 340 that you just cannot take a 1-hit knockout on. And that VMAX might have the ability to hit 200 to knock out your Boltund, and you may not be able to give up those 2 prizes. Well, if you can power one of these guys up, get it into the active, hit it for 160, say, I'm going to set up for a next turn, and I'm going to paralyze you. And if you reset stamp them, all that, they might be stuck there in the active, paralyzed for a whole turn with nothing to do. And then you retreat this, hit them with the Boltund, close the game out. This is good because I felt like this whole deck, every Pokemon in it is under 200 or 200 HP or lower. So this is just one attacker that has one good attack and can take a hit from a lot of different Pokemon. That is why that is in the deck, if you're wondering. And then we have 1 Eldegoss V. Eldegoss V has an ability that when you put this Pokemon onto your bench from your hand during your turn, you may search your deck for a supporter card and put it into your hand. Just a super good card for finding a supporter that you might need, most likely Boss's Order, because this is very turbo, so you're probably not using Boss's Order naturally early game, so you might just discard one. But yeah, 1 Eldegoss V in the deck. So that is the Pokemon line. It's a pretty thin line, honestly, but you have 4 main attackers with Zero Aura being a backup attacker if you need. So, but yeah, that's the Pokemon line. Now let's get to the supporters. In terms of supporters, we have 3 Professor's Research. Seems weird, 3, I wanted to make room for lots of stuff. And honestly, between the Dedenes and the research, you could add, again, a fourth one. You could add a third Dedenne. There's lots of things I think you could tweak about this if you want, but I have felt that 3 Professor's Research to be a perfectly fine number. We have 3 Volkners. I saw a list somebody posted that was similar-ish to this that didn't have any Volkners, and it said it was running Order Pad. Definitely an option. I have chosen to use my coin flip luck on a different card, which you'll see in a bit, but I like Volkner. It gets you an energy. It gets you a trainer, an item card. So Volkner with Quick Ball or Electromagnetic Radar, it's perfect. You can get those energy into the discard. You can go grab Zero Aura and Dedenne or Electrode, etc. I find it to be a very helpful card. And then finally, we have 2 Boss's Orders. Again, you throw it into the discard probably, then you get it out with Eldegoss later. Maybe one of them stays in your deck for a long time. That's great. You don't want to prize them. So 2 is probably a good number. That's your supporter line. And then obviously you have your 1 Thunder Mountain as your stadium. I don't have any other stadiums in this deck. That's the one area that honestly I could see making room for, just because you might have your opponent put a stadium down that's really annoying that you don't want to deal with. If they bump this with a power plant, that could be bad news for you, because then you don't have free retreat. That's pretty tough. So I would say you might find room for 1 other card in there just to bump another stadium, but 1 Thunder Mountain for now is it's all right. Just got to see how the entire meta game goes to know which ones to play. In terms of Pokemon search, we have 4 Quick Balls. Pretty standard there. Just really good at getting out any of these Pokemon except for Electrode. And then we have 2 Electromagnetic Radars. I have 2 in there because 1, the discard ability of this is good for this deck. 2, they will search out your Zero Aura, your Dedenne, and your Electrode and Raichu. So in total, I think 2 is a really good number for this. You make sure you don't prize them, and you can find some later when you need to just discard some cards. Outside of Pokemon Search, this is the coin flip card that I have decided to opt for, and that is 4 Super Scoop Ups. Now, look, there's not really a card in here that I could use Scoop Up Net for. You could play around with Electros or other cards like that. Xurkitree is another good Pokemon that you can maybe switch Scoop Up Nets for. But for now, Super Scoop Up is good for Dedennes. That's really what it's there for, is Dedenne. If you end up with something in the active you can't get out of for some reason, Super Scoop Up also good for that. But yeah, that's why a 2 count of Dedenne felt okay, given that I'm playing Super Scoop Up. Now, in terms of making this even more turbo, we have 4 Acro Bikes just to dig, put more things in the discard. Yeah, really good card for that ability of turboness. And now, obviously, you're playing electric, so you're going to play 4 Electro Powers. It's pretty straightforward. Adding 30 damage is really good. We have 2 Switch, which, again, feels weird, but if your Zero Aura gets knocked out or Power Plant is in there, Switch is a really good card to help you maneuver your Pokemon around, even still, without losing energy on retreat. So 2 switches I felt was good. It's a good option for Volkner too. So like if it's like the mid to late game, you don't have any Zero Auras left, it got knocked out, you don't have any more to go find, you could just go grab a switch, potentially switch into whatever you need. And then finally we have 2 reset stamps because yeah, your Pokemon give up 2 prizes, all of them. So 2 reset stamps is good. You could blow up an Electrode GX, reset stamp them to 4 or 2 prizes potentially. Yeah. And yeah, that's all the trainers. Now let's get to the energy. I have, let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 10. We have 13 lightning energy and 4 speed lightning energy. The new speed lightning energy, it's lightning energy when you attach it. And if you attach it to a lightning Pokemon, you get to draw 2 cards. Super awesome card. Makes this deck even more turbo. It's pretty crazy. I think with this deck, you could easily deck yourself out in 4 or 5 turns if you were so inclined. Obviously, no reason to do that unnecessarily, but you get what I mean. Yeah, In terms of this deck, it feels really good at the moment. The battle video is going up tomorrow. The battle video, I would say, actually features the 2 worst starts you could possibly ever have with this deck, and it still is able to like do some things. So most of the times that I did like empty hand type stuff with this deck, I was getting out 7, 8 energy turn 2 pretty easily. So aside from if you got really bad prizes, really bad luck, that would be the thing to like maybe change with this deck. Other stuff is you could run even more turbo if you did Electrode with a combo of Circuitry and B-Strings. That would be pretty bonkers. I've seen some people suggest that Shuckle is a good thing. You could play Shuckle and Scoop Up Net with the Electrode or Zero Aura, honestly. I personally did not find that much need. I think between Dedenne and Research, you're pretty turbo. I didn't have an issue getting energy into the discard. I think Shuckle makes a ton of sense in something like Lapras, where you're not discarding quite as heavily. But it's really up to you at that point. Yeah, a few different cards that I think you could consider in this. The main thing about this deck is because everything is a 2-prizer, blowing up Electrode only gives up 2 prizes. So against ADP, which is really the most popular deck in the format right now, it only gives up 3 prizes except for the Choo-Choo. That's the only liability against ADP, just as a heads up. If they're able to one-shot that and you have blown up your Electrode for some reason, that's game over. Or if they can kill 1 Boltund and that's game over. It's just a risky run, but this is a high roll deck in many ways. So hopefully you'll like it. Yeah, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Check out the battle video that I did with Kenny from Nightwatch Gaming tomorrow. That's going up. And I will catch you in a future video. Carpe awesome.